Good morning and welcome back to my channel. I am a Jen and I read. And today I'm drinking out of my Ariel mug, and I have some, actually I have a chai latte in here, even though it's like 100 degrees outside at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm still drinking a hot drink. Also, I have my dogs, Chewbacca and Lilo, downstairs, so hopefully they'll behave themselves today. So it is July 6th, and I'm a little bit behind in doing my June reading wrap-up, but I wanted to make sure that I got this out as early as possible, so here we go. Here's what I read in the month of June. I am going to start with the books that I read for Pride Month. The first one that I read for Pride Month is Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Seanan McGuire. This is a sequel to Every Heart a Doorway. And these are two books that are in a series. I think there's like 9 books in the series, but they're pretty short. So this is the Wayward Children series, and it's basically about this book introduces us to the home for wayward children. And there is a woman, her name is Evelyn, I think, Evelyn something. Anyways, she takes in children who have gone through other doorways out of our world. So think like Narnia, Alice in Wonderland. And for whatever reason, they've come back to Earth and they are having a hard time adjusting, either because they still long to be back in those worlds or because people just don't believe them and their parents are just trying to send them off to all kinds of therapy and trying to get the truth out of them. So they go and live at the Wayward Home for Children, or I think that's what it's called. So this book is actually about the home, and it introduces you to some of the children. And then this book, which was the one that I read this month, it introduces us to 2 daughters named Jack and Jill, actually Jacqueline and Jillian, and the world that they go into. So what I like about this series is that the books alternate. So one book will be set in the home, and the other books will be set in a series of places, and it follows stories of different people and the different doorways that they went through. Both of these are 5-star reads, and I can't wait to read the rest of them. So for Pride Month, I did not read as many books as I wanted to for Pride Month, but I still have some for my next month TBR. And the first one that I read was Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. This book is very, very, very emotional. It's very serious. There's a lot of trigger warnings. It's very violent. Basically, there are 2 dads. One's black, one's white. They both have served time in prison, and they both have sons who are gay and who just happen to be married to each other. What they have in common is that both of these dads have pretty much shunned their children because of their choice to be gay, or, you know, because of the lifestyle that they live. And what happens is the 2 sons, unfortunately, are murdered. And the police can't get to the bottom of it because nobody wants to talk. So these 2 dads team up to try to get to the bottom of their son's murder. And in the process, you know, they come to some understandings and some realizations, and they actually form a pretty amazing friendship. The next book is The Wicked King. This was not for Pride Month. This is actually the sequel to The Cruel Prince. I did not enjoy The Wicked King as much as I enjoyed The Cruel Prince, but I'm going to tell you something that I love about this series. When I think of a lot of the stories and a lot of the books that I've read where there's a fae court, there's also like a human side to that, right? So like they travel outside of the wall and there's a human village. And in every single one that I can remember, and every single book that I've read where there is this like fae line and this human line, and there's like 2 different sides, the human side is very primitive, and they like live in a village with thatched roofs, and they go milk their cows every morning. What I really like about this is where we have the fae side, we have the fae world, and it sort of reminds me of the movie Legend from the 80s with Tom Cruise. where there's like goblins and fairies, but they're not always beautiful. Some of them are pretty ugly and grotesque. And it's not really a safe place for humans. It's, you know, they can't lie, so they have to just use trickery as much as they can. But what makes this different is we have the human side. The human side is just like our day to day. When they leave, there's some mortals that live in this Fae world for reasons that I can't tell you. When they go to the mortal side, to the human side, they go to Target and Starbucks and the mall. And I just think that that's great. I have heard a lot of people ask, you know, people, if you could live in any fantasy world, what would you choose? And I don't know. I think I would choose this world because I just love the beauty of the Fae world. And then I can just like hop over the fence and go to Starbucks. These next two books I listen to on audio. I read about 7 to 9 books a month, and the reason I can get through that many books is because I do listen to the audio versions of them. I listen to them when I'm driving, when I'm doing dishes, but sometimes I just need to like be like mind jello and just kind of be like a big blob on the couch and not have any responsibilities and not think of anything. So I'll pull up like my puzzle games or my Candy Crush or whatever, games where I don't really have to think too much. And then I'll have my audiobook playing in the background. So I'm going to show you the 2 books that I listened to on audio in June. The first one is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. Obviously, this book has been everywhere. I've had this book for a really long time. And it was available at the library through the Libby app. So I went ahead and listened to it, and I really enjoyed it. There were a lot of parallels that I drew between this book and To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, which is one of my favorite books, and I read this with my students every like 4 or 5 years. So then after I finished this book, I watched the movie, which I know like some people don't like to watch the movies after they read books that they really like because they don't want to ruin it for themselves, but I like to torture myself, and I always watch, if I've read the book and there's a movie, I'm always going to watch the movie. So I went ahead and pulled this movie up on Netflix, and I thought it was just as good as the book. I would recommend the movie just as much as I would recommend the book. And that's pretty rare. I think they did a really, really good job adapting this. The other book that I read on audio that I got through the Libby app with my local library was Finley Donovan is Killing It by Elle Cosmiano. And let me tell you what, I only gave this book 3 stars because I was so stressed out when I was listening to this book. She made so many decisions that I would not have made, and it just kept like digging her deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole. And it was just kind of stressful for me. I'm like, if you would just do this, then your life would be so much easier. I don't think I'm going to read the other books in the series. If I get to a point where I need to have an audiobook and there's nothing available at the library that I want to listen to, I might pick up the second book, but I don't really see that happening. All right, and the last 2 books that I have for you that I read in June are both 5 stars, and they have both been creating quite a bit of hype in the book world. So the first one is Fourth Wing, and I have to, whenever I talk about this book, I just have to show the beautiful cover. It's amazing. I love it. It's the only book I have that has sprayed edges. So the Fourth Wing is basically about a school. I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce the names of these schools and these dragons in this book because I can't do it. I think it's like Gaelic or something. And basically there's this school, and it has 4 sections. It has dragon riding, scribe, healer, and I can't remember what the other one is. And you basically like choose which faction, sort of like Divergent. You choose which faction you want to go into. And our main character, Violet, is forced to go into the dragon riding section of the school. Even though she's been training her whole life to be a scribe, she does have a disability where she gets hurt easily. She's very fragile. Her bones break and her joints like pop and twist really easily. And she does not want to go into the dragon riding school, but her mom is forcing her because her mom is a general, and she just basically can't even fathom having a daughter or a child that doesn't go into the dragon riding school. But the thing is, you either pass or you die. It's like a pass-fail situation. So she's really putting her daughter in a lot of danger. And then there's a romance. I would call it a bully to lovers romance. There are some twists, but my favorite thing about this book is the relationship between the writers and the dragon. So when you get bonded to a dragon, I'll try not to say too much, you can talk telepathically with your dragon. And Violet is the main character, and her dragon and her have the snarkiest relationship, and I just eat it up. I love it. That's all I'm going to tell you about this, because there's so many things that I think that you just need to not know going into this book, and it will be a surprise to you. But I definitely recommend Fourth Wing. Iron Flame is the second book, and it's coming out in, I think, November. And then my last one that I have is Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. This is the third book in the STEM series, so it's not really a sequel. They are all standalones, but this book does have some cameos from some characters in the other books. So if you haven't read the other books, you can still read this book fine, but if you have read the other books, then you're going to be excited when you see these characters from other other books in the series. So this is a STEM romance. Basically, all of Ali Hazelwood's books that are STEM romance, the female main character and the male, are working or are in school for some sort of science or math related subjects. And I think that this is really great because I just love when girls and women are in STEM and it's kind of being brought front and center. Not to mention the romance in these books is amazing. I don't really like romances, but I would categorize this as a rom-com. So your main character here is Elsie, and the things in her inner monologue that she says to herself are so hilarious. I just laughed out loud. I had to put the book down a few times and just like reread some of the stuff that she said, because she is so snarky and she is so funny. That is my reading wrap up for June. I'm excited for what July is going to bring to me. I'm excited to come on here and be able to tell you about that and see if I have any 5-star reads in July. Please be sure to follow me on TikTok and on Instagram. And as always, thank you for watching.